My alarm rang at 5 a.m., and for the first time that summer, I leapt out of bed without hitting snooze. The house was deep asleep, but not me, even though I'd only fallen asleep an hour ago. I quickly slipped on a warm jacket in the early morning chill and carefully placed the eyepieces into my pocket before silently bounding down the stairs. Now came the tricky bit, moving my telescope out before the mosquito stormed in. Heaving my Power Seeker 127 EQ, I slipped out as swiftly as I could. After all my previous bad luck, I was ready to observe a lunar eclipse. This time, I was determined to do everything possible to be successful. I'd spent all of last night scouring Kuala Lumpur's concrete jungle to find that perfect place. Luckily, the edge of her tennis court looked just past a neighboring building towards the moon. Stepping onto the court, I was faced with my worst enemies, clouds. I couldn't even see the faint shine signaling the moon's existence. But the sky had been clear an hour ago, I kept telling myself. Luck had turned on me again, but I would not give up. I knew the eclipse peaked at 5:30 a.m., and I desperately hoped the clouds would shift in time. I pointed my telescope to where I figured the moon would be and waited. If science was a person, they'd probably break up with me because of how many questions I ask them. They'd think I don't believe them, or that I want to know everything about their life, or that I'm an undercover agent trying to expose their secrets to the world. And they'd be right. Science is often unbelievable. Science is deep. Science is mysterious. But that's why science is so alluring to me. And that's why I'd run after them to win back their heart with some grand heroic gesture like in every single Bollywood movie. When I was in grade school, the top comments my parents heard from teachers during conferences was, Tanmay likes to talk a lot and ask so many questions. There wasn't a year where they didn't hear some teacher make that comment. And quite frankly, it's true. Some teachers tried to impose a question limit on me, and as you can imagine, that never worked out. I personally could never see it as a problem, and to this day, don't believe it was one. Most of my teachers, luckily, encouraged me to pursue answers to those questions. So I learned to discover and explore the world for myself. Sometimes that meant setting things on fire, unintentionally. And intentionally, the burning almonds on the stove produces a weirdly addictive smell. Accidentally setting a tea bag on fire in the microwave just produces one yelling mom. You can take my word for that. Scientific method and all. Other times, I got lost in books, talking about everything from how we know what we know to quantum electrodynamics. But most of the time, every question that I tried to answer led to even more questions to explore. And honestly, I love going down every single one of those rabbit holes. How much data can our brains store? Are fish in water wet? Why is the alphabet in a specific order? There's just so much out there to learn about. And for me, nothing encapsulates that better than outer space. Every time I look through my telescope at the moon or Saturn's rings or the Galilean moons, I am awestruck by the beauty of these things thousands and thousands of kilometers away. The sense of being immaterial on the grand scale of the cosmos is scary and sobering, but also inspiring. I get this sensation every time I look up at the planets and stars, more so than ever when I saw the Milky Way for the first time in Nepal last year. This exact indescribable sensation is what drives my want to know more. Yes, I know. The whole I've always wanted to study space may sound like it came out of a cliche college essay, but I can earnestly say I've always been intrigued by space. Back in grade 3, when we first learned about the solar system, we kept these captain's logs about our exploration, as if we were at the helm of some groundbreaking space mission. I still have that notebook to this day. Looking back at it, I realized that while my spelling has definitely gotten better, my enthusiasm for the subject remains unchanged. On my 10th birthday, I remember my parents getting me my first little telescope. It had the names of all these instrumental astronomers written on it. Galileo Galilei, Johannes Kepler, Edwin Hubble, Aryabhata, and so many more. With it, I could see the dark patches of lunar seas and the ridges of craters, and the longer I stared through the eyepiece, the tinier details I noticed. I was hooked. Even though I was looking at the same moon over and over again, there was always something new and exciting. That's true for all of space, and that's why space can never be boring. Then, my love of reading found books about space. Oh my gosh, there are books just full of the most mesmerizing pictures of nebulae, galaxies, comets, and in every part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Remember, this is before toddlers had iPads in their hands, so it was books for me. One book in particular that blew me away made the universe feel like a game of discovery. There was a bit that made the solar system like a pinball machine, with all our spaceships visiting every single planet and boom, returning back home. And despite all these books, there was just so much that I wanted to know. For the first time in my life, books could not satisfy me. I wanted to go into uncharted territory. So I found NASA's EYES simulation. Now I could zoom in and out and look at all these planets and go through space and the biggest and smallest extraterrestrial objects. I can't even describe them. I'd come home from school and spend hours dazzled by every single thing I saw. And then at night, I dreamed that I'd discovered something phenomenal and put my name on it. To be completely honest with you, I still hope to one day find a binary star system and label it Gupta-2AB capital X or something like that. As I grew, it became increasingly clear to me and my parents that this is what I wanted to do. My classic Desi Indian parents took a while to warm up to the idea that their eldest child was not going to become a doctor or an engineer. But after many conversations where I just could not stop talking about space, they realized the universe was calling to me. I got another, more powerful telescope for my 15th birthday, and now I could share the wonders of the cosmos with my friends too. And share I did. If you ask my friends, any of them will tell you how many nights I've spent and I've stayed up and posted all these pictures of the moon or Jupiter or Saturn. Or they might try to provoke me by saying astrology is better than astronomy and you should change your major. Heck, even my physics teacher gets in on that joke every single class. And more so than space, their genuine interest and support for my endless wonder is part of the reason I'm here at Caltech today, where the legendary Sheldon Cooper was. Now, I never thought I'd get to start engaging with space missions before I even started classes. But somehow that's exactly what I've gotten to do, and I am loving every single moment of it. For the past few months, I've been working with Caltech's NASA Big Idea Challenge team on a project to aid NASA's upcoming missions to the moon. You see, lunar dust is notorious. It's minuscule, but it's super jagged because there's no weathering on the moon to erode fragments like we have here on Earth. No. Lunar dust cuts through Kevlar, gives you hay fever symptoms, and generally screws up electronics. It's so terrible, NASA's spending millions of dollars on essentially housekeeping or moonkeeping. This is the first year we've had a team, and we're developing something we call HOMES to bring home the prize. HOME stands for Habitable, Orientable, Modular Electrodynamic Shielding. It's a system of tiles that clears dust from objects on top of it. Think of it as a super versatile, high-tech doormat, combined with the foam mats we used to play on as kids. And how it works is even more fun. We attract the dust onto the tiles, and then we make it surf some electromagnetic waves until it wipes out onto the lunar surface. I've been working with our team to devise a solution, engage with JPL scientists, and write a proposal. We started with an ambitious idea, broke it down, created some simulations for the surfing dust, optimized the mechatronics, and just finished designing the beautifully symmetric puzzle piece-like tiles. Every moment of the process, from eurekas that made me feel really proud, to the sense of achievement from working on something together that's really meaningful, has been immensely satisfying, while simultaneously making me hungry for more the next day. It's as if every breakthrough we have, every mind-blowing lecture I watch, every shared conversation I have, is feeding a wormhole of wonder within me. Just like in third grade, I get to be the captain of my own personal groundbreaking mission. And so finally, that night, in my last summer as a high schooler, the man in the moon showed his face. I leapt up and fiddled with my telescope until I could center the moon. Wow. The time was 5:31 a.m., just a minute after the peak eclipse. It was a thin slice of blood orange. The tint reminded me of the pulp from grapefruits. The moon's faint outline was barely perceptible, and I was awestruck as I realized I was seeing the vast shadow of the Earth. Every time the clouds cleared, I'd move my telescope, peer through, recognize how the color had lightened and which seas and craters were visible now before snapping another picture. By the end, the moon had almost set. And as I retraced my steps to bed, I had another first in my pocket. Though as I'd soon find out, it was one of many more to come.